have kids that actually use it for years. So it's geared towards juniors and seniors, but during that time frame.
Never mind. See mine.
We have a bunch of short programs. We have like 5.
Thank you for being here today, and I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask someone to call the roll, please.
David Mason,
Here.
Marcy Mack,
Here.
John Blankenship's not here, Jesse Ashlock,
Here.
Ken Gertie's not here, April Danahay,
Here.
David Smith,
Here.
Jeremy Heisey,
Here.
David Clinton,
Here.
Keaton Francis,
Here.
Jennifer Fugazi, don't see her, George Pankinen,
Here.
Dwight Hughes,
Here.
and Dudley Darrow.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Item number 2.1, consider approval of minutes of the regular meeting of the Vance Development Authority of April 16, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 3.1, update on the Eisenhower Elementary School project.
Well, Mayor, before I turn it over to the superintendent to explain, I did get an email just as I walked in here from the director that said we were going to make this happen. So Dudley, I'll go ahead and turn that.
I too received that email. Thanks, Coop. Just real quick update. The Department of Defense came and spent the day with us on Tuesday, May 14th. They toured the current Eisenhower. Then they went to, had a lot of questions for us, kind of had a little panel session there for myself and other administrators. Toured Eisenhower, went to lunch, and then after we went to Eisenhower, they went to Prairie View. They kind of wanted to see what does a new build look like in Enid, and Prairie View is one of our 2 new builds, that in Garfield, obviously. So they were very impressed. They were very complimentary. That was on Tuesday, May 14th, had a very good visit. I submitted a proposal on May 28th, an updated proposal with the information that they requested. Since then, it was sometime in mid-July, they requested a little bit more feedback, and I submitted that feedback on July 8th. I just got an email too, as Coop said that everything's moving along, but they still have not given us the green light yet. And the proposal, again, is really just for the design to build. It's not the actual build, it's just the architectural work. So we're still working on that. As soon as we get that green light, we've got the architects secured. We're ready to go. We're just waiting on the green light. So it was a good visit. I still feel good about it. And I think his email today is definitely gives reason for optimism, but we're
Right, and they have several $100 million, I don't know the exact amount, but still in that pot to replace schools on base. So, and I've been assured by the director that they will make this happen. And one thing is sure that we have, pretty good sources of dollars to help with this, which a lot of communities they try to do this don't, and so that's one thing in our favor. So, quite confident this will happen. It just takes time, and they try to get it right. No LDCC. Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, the liaison group of Department of Defense, they're the ones that have to do all this detailed paperwork that they have to do that they then submit to DOD, Department of Defense, and then they give questions. So it's quite a process, very lengthy, but again, for the 80% dollars, I think we'll go through that.
And we're in good shape for the 20% for us would be roughly 5 to 6 million. We're in a good place financially as a school district. We're fine with that, and if we have to, we've already talked to Security National our local bank, and if we have to lease purchase part of it, we'll do that too, but we're ready. We're actually chomping at the bit. I'm ready to get this thing going.
And that's the good thing, Dudley, about our project is that we have all of that good to go. We're ready. It's all these details that they got to do, and so we'll get that done. But and I know we'll talk a little bit more about Military Planning Commission. We already have $540,000 we'll give you, which will help with the dollars for the engineering design. We're going to come at some more money here pretty quickly, so to assist with that. But so Mayor, I feel that's very confident moving along. So
At the speed of government, right?
Yeah, I will say on that topic, we have a Strategic Military Planning Commission meeting this Thursday. They've asked us, all the commissioners, to put together a white paper that looks at the needs of the communities. So I've done that, but I'm asking for another $250,000 this fiscal year for the school project. And then next fiscal year, which will be later this year, actually,
Right.
this calendar year, come up with the remainder to make it a total $1 million. So it's gonna work.
that's been our goal.
Yes, sir.
to do that,
Yes,
so.
sir.
Good.
Any other comment on school?
No, sir.
Thanks, Dudley.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
We're going to get it done.
Item 3.2, update on the current military construction or MILCON appropriations, the squad ops facility. Mike?
Yeah, unless Colonel Throckmorton or Colonel Miller tell us that the priorities are different, that's our priority project. As you know, they got the $8.4 million to help with engineering design. So, and of course, for our process, we have to wait, because we're always going to go off what the military is doing and tells us, but for our purposes, it has to be at least 30% design for it to be considered, a congressional ad. Or it has to also be in the FIDEP. But I don't think until they get it to that percent design, it's probably not going to be in the FIDEP. And while we can't do anything with it, to at least have our congressional folks try to pursue that, or until the Air Force puts that in the president's budget to be funded. So that's two things. But for us, we're waiting on where that gets at level of design plus being in the FIDEP. Would that be kind of what you guys would think?
Yes, sir, and it's still Colonel Throckmorton's #1 priority.
Right.
We've got Chief Bigley, the ATC command chief, arriving here now, and we're telling him the same thing today. We synced on it yesterday, so I'm new, so I mean, I can only play that card for so long, I realize, but I'm not sure what percentage we are on the design phase right now, so I probably need to go back and do some homework on that. See if
Yeah, because key for us,
30%.
for our delegation, not, because all they ask me every week is, well, where are we at? Is it going to be in the FIDEP? Is it, because they can't do anything, as you know, until it is. And so I know there's reasons why it's not, but I think the design, that's why we pursued the engineering design money, so we could get it to that, so they could make those decisions. Of course, we would also, and I know you guys have all heard it, I mean, we haven't had a regular program budget item since probably the early 80s. So in leadership with the Air Force, General Robinson, we would say, hey, our delegation would love you just to make it a budgeted item, but we understand that how those priorities are, because it's tough, because we're small base, so we get that, but that's where we're at on that.
And let me pause right there. My mistake. I should have introduced Colonel Miller. I'm sorry, Carl Miller.
You've had to introduce me so many times.
Well, that's my mistake. This is a new group. If you'd stand up. If y'all haven't got to know Colonel Miller, he's the new vice commander out on base, and I've got to spend some time with him. He's a great guy. So just second time in Enid, I think, right? You've been here before.
Graduated from here way back in '02, so that's about it.
Yeah, so just like a friend that's come back home. Okay, so well, we're glad you're here and look forward to working with you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you being here.
I'm grateful to be able to participate in this, and it's my first one, obviously, so yeah, thanks for hosting that. I really appreciate it.
I also heard you may say a few words at the city managers conference
I'll be there
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A whole hour to myself to talk, so I'm excited.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
I was telling Gerald yesterday that I've got to do the welcome. I'll be in a room of a whole group of people that want to tell me no on everything. So,
What's new?
yeah. Just kidding, Gerald. It's just a joke. Anything else on item number 2 on the MILCON? Any other comments? Okay. I'll move on to item 3.3, update on the current Defense Community Infrastructure Program, or DCIP, submission and the timing of that.
Okay, and I don't see Stephen, but Keston, you kind of know about that. But we made the submission. I think it's 3.5 million total of projects, but timing for that, we've submitted. Generally, sometime late July, we kind of know if we're going to be asked to submit for the final grant. And there's some other things that you would do then, but pretty much if they notify you, you're more likely going to get it unless you've done something wrong, I guess. But, so we'll know that shortly. I think for August would be the timing that they would do that for sure. But I think sometime late July, we're probably going to have an indication.
Yeah,
Kirsten?
as far as I understand, yeah, you'll probably get an indication late July. I know the official notice comes to be invited to do the
Yeah.
second round of applications in August. It was 3.5 million is the ask. It's a $4 million total project when you include engineering, design work, and inspection, and all that good stuff. It's if you're not familiar with the project, it's the reconstruction of taxiway Bravo from where it connects with our main ramp in the 1-3 end of runway 1331, all the way to 3-1 end of runway 1331. Also is the reconstruction of the associated taxiway Bravo lighting for that portion as well. That is the only access to the majority of our hangars is through taxiway Bravo, and it is also the only access to the newly reconstructed south ramp, which is what our 2022 DCIP project was to reconstruct that ramp.
Yeah, so any of those things that, and again, I'm not a flyer, but all those things help with ease of operation or increase their operation capabilities, I guess. But, so again, another great addition to what we have going on out there, starting with the expansion of the runway. So all these things are totally centered around helping them military value type, increase mission capability. So we'll continue to do that. I was one question, since Colonel Miller is here. You know, we have dollars that were set aside for, it was called a workstation, a digital workstation of some kind, but I would just call it a radar. But we were waiting because you eliminated, or FAA went away from the one they were supporting, and we've been waiting to find out what the new system would be so that we could link our capabilities with yours over there. You might want to see if you can find out something for us about that, because we're waiting to decide what FAA is going to support, so then we can know, because we have dollars set aside to help purchase that or do that, so.
Yes, sir. I'll take that back for action.
Because about what do we have set aside for that?
$2 million is what we currently have set
Right.
aside, and we have worked with, so it's through the Oklahoma Department of Finance,
Yeah.
or Oklahoma Finance Authority, through the P3 program. We have talked to them on ways that we can repurpose those funds if we need to, because we are running up on that grant deadline before the FAA says that they will probably name that TDW replacement.
Yeah, so if you could
so-
find out something for that, that'd be very helpful, I think, so. So anyway, everybody's been briefed, the Assistant Secretary of Air Force Installation Environment, those folks, Installation Secretary, of course, talked to DCIP, they, you know, and back and forth a lot, so everybody's aware of what our project is, so I you know, at least feel good that we have a good submission, so we shall see. So
Absolutely.
currently this year, there's 100 million available. Something else on DCIP, I'll be working next week. The House voted out in their NDAA version 50 million as opposed to 100. You know, last year we made DCIP permanent, but this year the House put 50 million to it. The Senate's working on their version this week, so what we're trying to do is get 100 million on the Senate side too, and then when it goes to conference, hopefully we can work that out towards, you know, stays at that level. The other thing, we are working on the language, I think it'll be in the Senate side is too, the quality of life version of DCIP, because that will be a study to let all the services and DOD, you know, look at that and decide do they want to do that or not. So that's where all that's at.
Okay, item number 4, Keston, I think this is still you, just the update on the Enid Woodring Regional Airport facility.
Yes, so like I was talking previously, the 2022 DCIP grant was for the reconstruction of the south ramp. It also was for the construction of a new joint use hangar. South ramp construction has been complete. probably been completed for the past couple months. We've actually already parked military on it, and so it's open for use. The associated south ramp hangars that are adjacent to that ramp still under construction, but have been making good headway on that. Of course, they are general aviation hangars, not for military use, funded through the P3 grant. They should be done by the end of July is what the contractor tells me. Joint use hangar up by the main ramp, essentially, I'd probably say 95% done or more. Really, the only thing that it remains, the fire marshal wanted to see what they call a fire department valve, moved closer to a paved surface. You've probably seen them in bigger cities. They're usually those red valves that stick out the side of buildings that are in the downtown areas, that sort of thing. Basically, since it's a suppressed building that has sprinkled for fire suppression, the fire department needs a way to hook up to that system with one of their trucks to do testing, or not fully aware of the fire department side of how that works, but they need to hook up to it, and it has to be within a certain feet of a paved surface, and it's not where it is currently placed. So we've asked for a change order from the contractor to move that valve to where the fire marshal would be happy with it. And that should be done hopefully before the end of July. Once that is done, then that's when we can get the certificate of beneficial occupancy from the fire department and code and all that, and it'll be ready for the hangar to be used by the military.
Yeah, I know when we met, Mayor, with the Assistant Secretary at the Pentagon for our Enid visit, he was shocked, amazed, but also very appreciative of all the things we've done out at the airport. And we told him that you were a very busy guy, but he said, be sure and tell him thank you. Because that again, he understands what it does to mission and how they can utilize it. And I told him, I said, well, most of us in this room aren't flyers, and Rob Stallings wasn't with us this time, but we also understand when we're told that it is something that could help, and we do our best to provide that.
Absolutely, yeah, it's beneficial to everyone involved.
Keston, can you remind us what the additional capacity will be for hangared aircraft out there?
Yeah, so it really depends on what my personnel is like at the airport, because of course, the more personnel we have there, the more we can wing walk and the tighter we can pack the hangar. But you know, on a weekend, even when we're low staffed on the weekends, when we just have one or two guys out there, beneficial if it's fully empty. You're looking at anywhere between 9 and 10 T6s, 5, 6 T1s, or 8 to 9 T38s. Now that is if it's fully empty. If we have more personnel there, and me or my operations manager Mason, if we're going to be busy, we'll come out and help on the weekends, and a lot of times we'll ask the pilots too.
That's when the hail will hit, right?
Exactly, yeah. So everyone works through there to make sure that there's those wing walkers. If we've got the wing walkers, I think we've gotten up to 13 or 14 T6s, probably 7 or 8 T1s, and then probably 10 to 12 T38s. But that's if we have, 3 wing walkers, one on each side of the wing and one on the back, and then one person moving the plane. So that's if you've got the 4 people there that can help with that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? Keston, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Item number 3.5, discuss the 2024 Oklahoma Strategic Military Planning Commission request.
Okay, as you know, since that's been created, I was on that for about 25 years, I guess. And so George is a representative on that commission now, but we've utilized that quite a lot for seed money to help us do with a lot of these projects that we're talking about. So, and we've had discussions about, what's important this year and how we're going to try to utilize the money. As we talked about the schools, so we're going to continue to do that till we reach, the $1 million level. We also have an additional ask. I've talked to Keston. We've got some needs out there, so I'll go ahead and let you, George, explain what that is. But we've all been talking because now that we have such a high tempo of things going on out at the airport, we thought this was probably an important project to do. But I'll let you explain that, George.
Yeah, okay, we already kind of talked about the Eisenhower project, but the other thing that we're hoping to support this year with money from the state is a $50,000 grant to put in backup power system out of Woodring. I think a lot of us are probably surprised to know they don't have a backup power system. So that's something that's certainly needed, and that's kind of what we're looking on for the rest of this year. We also put together, the chairman of the Strategic Military Planning Commission asked each one of us to kind of come up with a white paper that talked about what's been done in the past in the community, what you're working on now, what are you looking for in the future. So the future things that I'm listing are kind of strategic objectives, so you don't necessarily have money tied to them or anything yet. You don't know what they cost, but you know they're things that you might want to look on toward the future that the state could help with. So the three that I've identified are affordable family housing that's near the base is one thing that we think that they're going to need. There's always a need for land. If you're not getting smaller or going away, that means you're getting bigger, and if you're getting bigger, you need more land. So we think there's always a need to expand the perimeter of the base, so that might be something that we want to look toward in the future. The last thing is kind of a DOD initiative that they're looking at where they want to do alternate power sources. They don't want to be reliant upon just the utilities that they have. So they don't know what that is, but it's something that we might be able to help with in the future. So I put that down as the third thing. So those are the three things kind of on the horizon that we're looking at that we might be able to help with in the future. That said, life happens every day and priorities change every day, and so we know that other things are going to come. So we'll be agile enough to be able to come up with that, but that's kind of the way I'm looking for the future.
Now, we're real sensitive on the property available because we know at one time in the early 90s, we had 0 acres to expand. That's why the 158, the 130, and the 12 on the rear end of the base, or what I would call the south end. But, so yeah, we would always kind of look at that, you know, what the needs are. Yeah, in the future, you always want to make sure, and we try to stay as much attention on the quality available, affordable, available, quality housing. So if we can do that and make that as, you know, available too as well, you know, which helps the community, the overall community, but them as well. So we'll continue to focus on that. The deal with have you got any engineering background yet on the cost, what you think the cost will be on the generator?
No, not at this time. I've talked to our consultant engineer and gotten ideas. That's where that $50,000 comes
right.
from, just a back of the napkin math type number from our consultant engineers. We've actually, on our side at the airport, we've started reaching out to, you know, like Generac and that sort of thing to get an actual nailed down
Keston,
quote.
I'm assuming we've got natural gas out there, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so what we were talking about this earlier, so we would mainly be focused on like the tower, the terminal,
Yes.
what,
And the lights.
Yeah, so it'd be
Yeah.
the full terminal building so that we could run our,
Yeah.
you know, we still run credit card machines, that sort of thing, still be powered on. And then, of course, the air traffic control tower, they have battery backups in the tower, but those battery backups, if the power's off for more than, say, 24 hours, their batteries are dead by that point. They have no radio contact at that point. We have to close, we go what they call ATC 0. So it goes back to uncontrolled airspace, which, of course, the vast majority of the aircraft at Vance Air Force Base can't operate out of our airport at that point.
okay.
Would the
so-
backup power do the runway lighting as well?
Yeah, not for $50,000, probably not. Maybe once we upgrade our lighting to LED, but the vast majority of our runway lighting on 1735 is incandescent. And so it has a much higher energy draw on that side. We could look at doing backup airfield lighting, but you'd probably go well over the $50,000 range at that point.
And George, when's your next meeting?
Thursday.
Oh, this week, okay.
Yep.
Okay,
3-6.
Okay.
thanks, Keston.
Absolutely.
Item 3.6, our last item, discuss the Air Force Association and the Association of Defense Communities events.
Yeah, one of the couple of organizations that I always stay kind of in tune with are these two, and it's to stay in contact with leadership, DOD, Air Force, to understand, you know, what's their direction, because it seems like they're always re-strategizing things or implementing things. So we try to focus on the leadership at those meetings. The Air Force Association, their annual convention and cyber conference is September. It's in DC. So all the leaders are there, and so that's why you go and interact with them. The Association Defense Community has, and Mayor, you may want to go to this, the Installation Innovation, and George has been to it several times. It's in San Antonio, and that's where you bring DOD and Air Force folks in to work with community and state leaders on how to implement things like intergovernmental support agreements, what's the latest need or wants or desires, and then you can choose to work on those things or not. But that's a good place to hear from leadership of what they're wanting to focus on and what they're willing to support on those type of things. And knowing and understanding those things from a high level helps you when you try to get grants and things, because they know that you're listening to what their requirements would be, because they're not just going to support things that you and I come up with, you know. So that's why we do it. But I wanted you to be aware the Air Force conference is in September, and then the Association of Defense Communities in May. I'll get you a date on that. It's in October, but I'll get you a date on that because you may want to go to that.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that being said, we are adjourned.
When do we have one of this out?
In a couple of days.
Yeah.